Hey everyone, so I think we're live. Welcome today to our Google Live Hangout all around conversion rate optimization. So we have something very special today for everyone. We have a truly global list of world experts on conversion rate optimization based all around the world, literally. A couple of housekeeping notes. So we're going to record this Hangout, so you'll have it available to you. There's a hashtag you guys can follow. It's CRO Hangout, so you can follow along, ask questions, interact with people. And the agenda we're going to go through today, which I think is really cool, was built by everyone who's actually on this Hangout. So people upvoted the questions, and we're going to answer the top 20 questions over the next 60 minutes. So I'm going to be really strict with all of our different experts. I'm sure they would want to talk for an eternity on each of these questions, but I'm going to try to cut them off so we get through all of the questions that you guys wanted us to cover and thought was important. So what I'm going to do is go around from my left to right, from the list of experts. I'm going to give you a quick introduction, and then I'm going to ask them to tell you where they are today, so you can get a feel of how truly global this Hangout is. So the first person is Pam Bond. Pam is from HubSpot. She works on our CRO team. Pam has worked on an incredible amount of conversion tactics and built a conversion playbook for our blog, and now she's doing the same for the website. Some of the things she's done for her blog have actually increased our leads by 240%. Most of the times when I go and present at conferences, I just steal all of Pam's experiments because they make me look good. So Pam, do you want to give a quick introduction on where you're based today?
Yeah, I'm in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the United States of America.
Next we have Larry Kim. Larry's the CTO of WordStream, also one of the people I see publishing lots and lots of content, an incredible amount of content published that's always full of lots of learnings. So he is the best known person for paid acquisition, an expert in CRO, a phenomenal marketer, and also someone who has got up really early in the morning to be good enough to join us today. So Larry, do you want to give a quick introduction and let people know where you're from?
Sure. I live in Cambridge, right near the HubSpot office, but I'm actually dialing in from Sydney, Australia this morning, and that's why it's so dark here.
Awesome.
It's like 3.
3 a.m., so that is commitment to this Hangout. Thank you for doing that, Larry. Ollie Gardner, co-founder of Unbounce, I'm sure everyone is familiar with Ollie. Probably seen more landing pages in his time than anyone else. Renowned speaker, spoke all over the globe, has been kind enough to speak in Dublin, where I'm actually based, and has a blog on Unbounce full with amazing things around conversion tactics. Ollie does this really cool video show where he tears down landing pages as well. Ollie, do you want to give a quick introduction and let people know where you're from?
Yes, I'm in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
Awesome.
And it's not that early. Well, it's 9 a.m. That's early for me.
9 a.m. Not too bad. Not competing with Larry. Pep Laja. Pep was talking to say his second name, and I think I just got it wrong. Pep runs Conversion, co-founder of Conversion XL, entrepreneur with over 10 years of industry experience. The best thing I can say about Pep is anytime anyone wants to ask me a question on conversion or CRO, I just say go read his blog. I've stolen multiple things from his blog. It is definitely one of the best resources on the planet for all things conversion. Pep, do you want to give us a quick introduction? Let us know where you're based today.
Yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas, also United States of America.
Yeah, another United States of America. And then last but no means least is Ran Fishkin. I don't think we need to do too much of an introduction. Founder, former CEO of Moz, author of tons and tons of books, co-author of lots of books, co-founder of inbound.org, industry speaker across the globe. Ran, where are you based today? Because you usually travel quite a lot.
I'm actually in Seattle, Washington, my hometown, which is kind of shocking. It is in the United States, but my hope is, and maybe Ollie, you can work on this. If Trump happens to win the election, maybe Canada can invade.
Yeah, we can absorb. We can absorb you. We'll just do that.
That would be really appreciated.
Cool. So they are our speakers. You have to pay a lot of money to go see these people speak, so we're giving that to you for free. They've all been kind enough to dedicate some time, so we really appreciate that. Want to say thanks for their time. Let's get right into the questions. So the very first question, I think, is a really great question to start off with. So this is for you, Pep. We're going to go to you. How do I create a CRO process? How do I get started with that?
Mm-hmm. Well, first thing to understand is, what do we need a process for? And the goal of what we're doing here is to either make or change, make or test effective changes on our website. So a good structured process, CRO process, should help you answer that question, the question of what should we test next? What should we change next on a website? So a structured process will tell you what the problems are, where they are on your website, why are these problems even problems, and it will help you identify the problems, turn them into test hypothesis, which means solutions to these problems, because an A/B test should be a solution to a problem. So a CRO process should focus primarily on identifying what the problems are. So you want to look at analytics to figure out where the traffic is dropping out. You want to analyze qualitative feedback to understand what's keeping people from signing up, why are they leaving your website, why aren't they buying more stuff. You want to use all the tools available to you to figure out what the problems are. So your structured process should be around identifying problems, turning them into test hypotheses, and then running tests. And I think within this 3-minute time limit, can't give you a better overview.
No, I think
people should check out your Research Excel framework.
Yes, they should. Thank you, Ollie.
Sorry, can you give that to us again? What was that?
Research Excel.
Can you give us a little bit of insight to what that is? Is it a way to?
It's a framework that I've developed that teaches you how to do it. So if you go to conversionexcel.com, in the top menu there are free guides, a free CRO course, is a full course on how to build the process.
Awesome. Anyone else want to jump in there? We have a little bit of time on how you would create that process, prioritize. I think Rand, you have some input there.
Just one thing that's worked for us pretty well is to identify the area that we're trying to improve, and then talk to two groups of customers in particular. One are people who are right customers but did not end up signing up. So meaning they match all the criteria of people we think should have loved the product and wanted to sign up for it or buy it or sign up for the email, whatever, do the conversion event. And then also talk to people who did sign up for it and ask them the same sets of questions, things like, why were you interested? What initially brought you there? What made you decide to investigate it? What made you decide to convert or not convert? And then you can look at those objections and turn that into the process of things that you test on the landing page, right? Answering those objections, overcoming them. That seems to be a really powerful process that that I've stolen from experts like Ollie and Pam and Pep over the years, and has worked well for us.
Really quickly, how do you ask those questions? Is it through like an email survey or a website survey or?
We've done email surveys. We've done in person. So at a lot of conferences and events, I talk to folks about this, or we'll bring them into the Mosplex and ask them in person. And phone calls work well too.
Cool.
But email is the way is the scalable approach. You can survey hundreds and hundreds of people fast. So interviews not very scalable, but of course you get richer information if you do in-person interviews.
Do you find, Pep, or other folks, do you find that I find that when we get like 5 or 10 answers, those tend to be very, very similar. The same objections come up if we ask 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people. So get more and more.
You can identify the top issues with a smaller sample size, but if you interview only 10 people, what you don't get is you don't understand the severity or, let's say, the frequency of the issue. So if people are worried about, let's say, price, security, and whatever, a third reason, so like what is the scale of difference? So if you survey 500 people, you understand that, oh my God, pricing is a 5 times bigger issue than fear about something, you know.
Right. Got it. Got it.
So I guess the next question is a really great follow-on from this. Is we're gonna go to you, Pam, for this. Is what are some of the top CRO metrics a person should really care about when they're trying to create that first process? What are like the metrics they should gravitate towards?
So I honestly think it depends on, on the goal, on the problem you're trying to solve. The problem you're trying to solve will have different metrics depending on what it is. So, I mean, I think the go-to metrics that people think of when they talk about conversion rate optimization is, conversions, conversion rate, which, also depends on traffic. But, if your goal, for example, is to improve the number of marketing qualified leads that you're generating from your blog, you can't just look at raw conversions, right? You have to look at the qualified conversions that come from the blog. So things will change depending on what projects and experiments you're running. If you're running an email experiment, you're gonna be looking at click-through rate of your emails and referral traffic from your emails and things like that. So really, I think the main thing is to focus on the goal you're trying to solve and the hypothesis that you formed for that experiment, and then what makes sense to actually measure to evaluate whether your hypothesis is true or false. And then another thing I wanted to point out was the big role that traffic plays into all this. I think traffic is a huge metric, and particularly traffic sources for conversion optimization. It's really important to pay attention to the traffic that if you're trying to optimize a specific page, to understand how people are getting to that page. People behave differently depending on the source of traffic. I mean, and you'll notice changes in conversion rates based on that. So, things that we've noticed is that, paid traffic typically converts at a lower rate than something like organic traffic, because visitors from organic traffic are much more qualified typically. They were searching for something that you ranked for, and they ended up on your page. They might be a little bit more qualified than people that you might acquire through paid traffic. So I think it's really important to understand the sources of traffic that you're dealing with in any given project, and understand how best to cater to those sources of traffic.
Cool. So let's move a little bit further into the process. So someone's created a process, they understand the metrics, and the first thing they want to do is like redesign one of their landing pages, redesign one of their site pages to try to improve conversion. How do you think they should go about approaching the design of that page to improve conversion? Ollie, we're going to throw it over to you, a man who's seen more landing pages, site pages tested than anyone else.
Well, the first thing you shouldn't do is like jump the gun and jump straight into designing your page. Like, you have to have a process for this too. The first thing should be copy, right? Remember, copy informs design, not the other way around, which speaks to a common question. Who's heard that ugly landing pages convert better than beautiful ones, right? People say it all the time, but it's not true. The reason why ugly pages do convert is because that person didn't have design skills, they didn't worry about it, and they focused all of their time on copywriting, which is why it's persuasive, which is why it's impactful. Could it be better with some extra design wrapped around it? Most likely, because it would just be an even better page. Conversely, if you're a high-priced brand, Prada or whatever, you have to look exceptional because that's part of your visual identity. So they can't get away with it, but a lot of businesses can. So focusing on copywriting is the start of the process. Once you have that, and then your information hierarchy, you tell your story in the right order, then you can wrap a design around it. So getting to design now, you have to realize that traditionally, no one has been taught how to design for conversion. Nobody, right? Graphic and web designers have been taught typography, grid systems, color theory, and some aspects of it, but really it's been designing for UX or designing for winning awards or whatever it is, but not for conversion, which is why recently I wrote an ebook called Attention-Driven Design, which teaches you how to use design to focus attention on what you want people to be doing and give you a business advantage through design. Interesting story, Kieran. You asked what it was like speaking in Dublin. When I got there, I was checking into the hotel. I got given my key card for room 324. I went to the elevator. There was a lady there ahead of me. We're chatting. I let her in the elevator first. She puts her key card into the 3rd floor. I'm also on the 3rd floor, so I don't have to do anything. Now, when she exits, I exit behind her. I'm following her down the corridor, which is really creepy and awkward. And it's not until I get 2 doors down that I see that the numbers are going in the wrong direction. I'm not going to my hotel room. Here's the actual, this is the sign that made me go the wrong way. And it's not until she enters her room that I go, and I turn and run away, because that was the 2nd door. Now I'm looked like a pervert. And so I ran an experiment to see how many people did this, and 33% went the wrong way. So I changed it using design principles, contrast, grouping, the numbers next to the arrows, a bit of separation, and I through 3 experiments, doing 5-second tests, I managed to get 100% of people going the right way. So if you can identify a design problem and you understand the principles, you can solve the problem through design. It's a fascinating way to be able to, look at things. And actually, if you want the ebook, here's the here's the link to it there, bit.com/ADD-ebook.
So now we can add to your title, Ollie Gardner, Hotel Sign Designer.
Exactly.
Your prestige is rising as we speak. That's amazing.
I'm tired of solving the world's problems. I love seeing these real-world problems showing, through something like a 5-second test, this is a problem, and then fixing it. But going back to the copy part, clarity is the most important part of conversion, which is why copy only can convert. So also here, this is an equation which identifies how good the clarity is on your page. It's broken down to 7 sub-equations that then let you know where you have a problem, whether it's immediacy, can people get it right away, is it readability? There are 7 of them, and it's hit me up on Twitter and I'll share that with you. It's a great way of figuring out if you have a clarity problem.
URL for that?
Not for that. It's brand new, so I've only talked about it once.
So we have to go get the recording, take a screenshot, and then post it.
Or tweet at me, and I will share something.
All right, I'm on it.
One thing you said there, Ollie, that I would be interested in what everyone thinks on this is that it seems that you start maybe it's not every test, but it seems like you always start with copy and then layer in design. Do you think that's always the case, that you would always look at copy first and design? And I guess a follow-up to that is, what do people think is the best path, like copy versus copy test and then design versus design? You only change one of those things at a time? Or
well, ideally you start with copy, right? That's the best process, because then you understand what treatment you need to present that copy. Otherwise, if you start with a template, you're just filling in holes, right? The square peg round hole sometimes. You go, oh, it has 3 bullets, I have to write 3 bullets. That's not appropriate. Maybe you need 12. Maybe you just need 1. When it comes to testing, well, that should be informed by your research. You shouldn't be, well, let's think about a copy test today, or let's think about a design test. You need to, if you identify there's a design problem, use design to fix it. If you identify there's a readability or a clarity problem, use copy to address that.
Okay, I'm going to go on to the next question. We've got here, one of the questions people really want to get answered was, what are the top 3 CRO myths that are out right now? So what are people really getting wrong around CRO that they believe is kind of fact? So we're going to go all the way to Australia, to Larry, to kick off this one.
Sure, thanks. How much time do we have here? I'm just kidding. I think if it was just the top 3 kind of big myths on CRO, or big mistake places where people get a little tripped up, I think one of them would definitely have to be this idea that smaller changes, they generally lead to smaller changes, and they often actually don't persist forever. A lot of times, the reason why something works so great is because it's new. And then later it doesn't work so well because it's no longer new. Another thing that people often get wrong or get mixed up over is this idea of kind of diminishing returns and kind of a theoretical maximum conversion rate, definitely it's possible to go from like 1 to 3% conversion rates. A little bit harder to go from 3 to 5. Much harder to go to 5 to 8. You see what I'm saying? You can't go to 100% about beyond usually, and so. When thinking about your strategies, sometimes people maybe overestimate, how high we can get this thing, because the kind of the low-hanging fruit is kind of fixed. And then another kind of area where I think people can get tripped up is, sometimes an increase in quantity doesn't necessarily mean an increase in quality. So just be mindful that you're not just making changes to your marketing stuff to get more unqualified people. You always have to be checking against the marketing qualified leads if you're doing lead gen, because there's costs associated with following up on leads, and you don't want to just inundate people with crap leads. Anything to add, anyone?
I would like to add a few here. I think the biggest myth in CRO is that people think the CRO is a list of tactics, there's one great CRO hack around the corner that will change everything. I mean, if you think of CRO as just a list of tactics, I'll just find that blog post with 100 tactics and my conversions will grow, whatever. That's BS. You always need to start with a process to identify what your actual problems are. Because if you copy your competitors, you're copying their solutions to their problems, or actually, they probably copied somebody else. And copying competitors, copying market leaders, also BS. Don't do that. And the myth that, CRO is about figuring out what works, so we'll just brainstorm great ideas and then let's test them. That is the stupidest way to go about it. I mean, an A/B test or any change you make on your website is about addressing a known, identified problem. So focus on identifying what those problems are. Don't rely on the next great CRO hack.
Cool. Anyone else want to jump in with a myth until I move on? Nope. Okay, we've got that one covered. So this is one I think is one of the most important parts of a good CRO process, and there's lots of different frameworks, but I want to kind of go over to you, Rand, to hear what your thoughts on this is. How do you score and prioritize experiments within WAS, or how have you seen this done really well?
Yeah, so when we run experiments, we are generally seeking the same thing, right? So we're a SaaS product with a software subscription, so we're almost always trying to increase the number of people signing up for a free trial or signing up for a free Moz account, a community account. And so for us, scoring those is very, very simple, right? We can essentially say that, given the percentage, the number of visitors that landed on the page or that came into the funnel at all, broken down by source, as Pam noted, that we can then, look at the percent of folks who signed up. And the only thing that's critical for us in that metrics and that scoring, in addition to just the raw numbers, is the performance of those folks once they get into the product. So in a SaaS product, right, it's not like e-commerce where you're selling something one time or hoping to sell, maybe have some recurring purchases in the future. You're looking for that recurring revenue. And so for us, one customer who stays with us for 2 or 3 years is worth far more than 10 customers who stay with us for a month or 2 months each. Right? Churn rate is kind of the killer. You don't want to get people into your funnel who are not right for your product. And so we look at the performance of the conversion rate, but we also use a methodology to look at the first 3 or 4 months of performance of the customers who signed up to qualify whether they have a churn curve that's similar to, better than, worse than our existing customer sets. And I think this is important for anyone who's considering a sign-up process. For example, one of my pet peeves, one of the things I hate most in the web world right now is the pop-ups that ask for your email address and are like, do you want to learn more about SEO? And then there's a big button that says yes and a smaller button that says no, I'm dumb and I want to stay dumb forever.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, I hate that. It just drives me bananas, right? And I think that one of the things that I would say is very important to test is not just did you get more email signups, because I'm sure you do get more email signups from that opt-out button, but how many of those people are long-term subscribers? How many of them are engaged subscribers? What percent of them hit unsubscribe? What percent potentially hit report spam and affect your email deliverability and email reputation and sender score? I think those things are critical to consider. So when you're qualifying a test, remember to think beyond the point of conversion to recidivism and retention and lifetime value.
What is that word you just used?
Retention, recidivism, and lifetime value. Recidivism meaning you come back and do the thing again, right? So like in e-commerce, someone buys one pair of shoes from Zappos, do they ever buy again from Zappos?
Right. So I learned a word today, and Kieran almost learned a word, which was Pep's last name.
I almost learned.
Almost learned Pep's last name.
which is only four letters. So I think I.
Yeah.
So,
I'd love to chime in on the prioritization. Yeah, so on our team we use the PI framework. And so PI stands for potential, importance, ease. And so essentially, we'll have, people come to us all the time with ideas for optimization projects. We come up with ideas ourselves based on, digging through our analytics and, determining what our problems are based on what our company goals are. And then we take these projects and we give them this PI score. And so potential is essentially, how much potential improvement could, the result of this project or this experiment be? The importance, like how important is this to our business? How important will the improvement that we make be to our business? And then ease, like how complicated is it to actually execute this project? Are there kind of stakeholder or political barriers we might come in contact with? Are there technical implementation roadblocks that we might have to overcome? And then each of these categories gets a score from 1 to 10. 10 meaning like it has the most potential, it's really important, and it's really easy to execute. And then we average these scores out to get an overall PI score. And then we use that score, for all the projects that we're evaluating, and we prioritize them based on those scores.
Pam, do you have a resource or a link where we could see that, listed out?
Trying to think of. Kieran, do you remember where this PI framework is from?
So the PI framework actually comes from a really great conversion company based in the States, and I know them really well, and I've gone totally blank.
It's in Canada. It's Wider Funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Vancouver, what?
It's taken from Wider Funnel. They have a great resource. They have some great stuff in their blog about it as well.
Yeah,
there are lots of prioritization frameworks. There's the ICE model, similar stuff. Some are like from the 80s, and then there are binary models. Like if you want to create a culture of optimization within your company, and you want to score, let's say, A/B testing ideas, you want to add criteria in like, does this idea come from user feedback? Yes or no? Does this idea come from, I don't know, like, does it have support from analytics? Did you look at this thing? Is it above the fold, the change? Did you add or remove anything? So all these binary criteria. So next time when people come to the table with an A/B testing idea that they just brainstorm in their bathroom, is no user feedback, no analytics data, no blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, next time actually I'll go out and get some data. So with the prioritization framework, you can influence the way people think.
Yeah, I think the thing with the PI framework is you can't get a PI score unless you've done a lot of those things. You wouldn't know you wouldn't know the priority. And
also, estimating potential is like, I think this is a 7, and so on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get some healthy debate going if we haven't already. Ran mentioned something that is a hot topic within marketing and people have passionate feelings about, which is pop-ups. So Ollie, let's get started with you, and then people can come at you. What are your thoughts on pop-ups?
They suck, and they're great. right? In truth, all they are is an evolution of the mechanics of how we request an action of people online. Does that make them good? No, or not always. Like, if they offer something you really want, then they're amazing, if it's at the right place in the right time. We have some amazing success with, specifically, like, typically, they'll convert between 1% and 4%. But we had Digital Agency Day. It was an event kind of like this. You show up, and we had recordings for it. So, but it's an event, not everybody can attend. So on the exit there, it's like, hey, put your email, and we'll give you all the recordings. That converted at 32%, which is unheard of because it was super relevant and helpful. But the truth is, they're part of our future. That future being conversion automation. Well, what does that mean? It means taking all of the conversion opportunities that exist on every page on your website and landing pages and having them evolve to create experiences that are delivered in a responsible manner, responsible being the important word. So it's capitalizing on those conversion opportunities, but perhaps more important, it's discovering the parts of your and pages of your marketing that need to be protected. Where do you need to put this walled garden? Like, if you can find the data on these things, then it'd be like, well, this page can be really successful in requesting that, but this one, don't ever put anything there because that breaks part of the conversion chain, and you have to be really careful about certain pages. Any interruption ruins that experience. People leave and don't come back. So it's not just about capitalizing everywhere. It's about figuring out where you have to put some kind of barriers to stop that happening. You develop a conversion opportunity map and then kind of start from there, because every website and landing page has conversion opportunities, and every conversion opportunity needs a call to action. Sometimes that's whether you to do nothing or not. And it's a responsible use of technology, psychology, copywriting, and interaction design. Now, it's interesting. I was on my phone the other day playing a game, Genies and Gems, super adult, and I got in, and here's my progress, right? I'm on level 50. And then a pop-up comes up, and it says, connect to Facebook and save your progress. That's a blatant lie, because it doesn't matter if I do it or not. Your progress is always saved. I mean, I didn't do 50 levels in one day.
That's a dark pattern.
This is over a course of a week. So it's lying to me to try and get me to share this on social. That's an irresponsible use of, interaction, copywriting, psychology. Above all with these things, you have to be delightful, and there's always a way to make something delightful if you demonstrate empathy for your visitors.
Yeah, there was a game, I can't remember what the game was, but it was like a tower defense game, and you got a little power-up if you did the share, right? So it gave you like a free something if you did the share. So it wasn't a lie, and it was opt-in only, and you had your choice, right? And I didn't connect it to my primary Twitter account, and I created a new one and tweeted it out from a random account because I needed that power-up. But it was less of a dark pattern. I think you got to be careful about abusing trust.
Like most people don't take action on the first visit, right? Like to subscribe or whatever. So if you're working hard to spend money or maybe work on SEO or whatever to drive traffic to your website, and they come, they look at the stuff, and they leave, and then it's like, oh my God, I'm out of all the PPC budget. But if you have ad pop-ups, you can capture some of the traffic, remarket to them, get them to come back. Because the difference between static opt-ins, or put your email here, always visible, versus pop-up, it's an amazing difference. It's like 7, 8, 9, 10 times difference. So it's hard to, it's easy to bash pop-ups. It's like such a guy lying down on the floor. Let's kick the asshole. It's like, sorry. I mean, it's so easy to bash it, but it is effective. I mean, and if you're not, as you said, as Ollie said, if you're not unethical about it,
Yeah, I think my point is broader. It's just that if you're going to engage in pop-ups, or especially more aggressive ones, right, with the negative messaging, just make sure that you're testing how those emails, right, the sign-ups that you get, perform versus the ones that you got in a less aggressive manner.
I share your hatred of those those pop-ups that have the no, I don't want to be a better person opt out buttons. I think there's a way to do pop-ups that is not annoying and is, taking your user's experience into consideration. Putting, like, for example, we have an exit pop-up on our blog for a subscription pop-up, and it's an exit pop-up, so people get it when they're about to close out of their browser. But we also have it on a timer so that we're only showing it to people who have been on the blog for a certain amount of time, because we want to only encourage the people who are enjoying reading our content to subscribe, because we know they're engaged. We also have it set so that if someone does exit out of it, we won't show that again to them for a certain period of time. If they come back, they're not going to see that again if they try to exit out of it. It's smart so that, like, if they're already a subscriber, we're not going to show them the subscriber. That's just common sense. So I think there's ways to just be mindful of your user's experience when you're designing these pop-ups and not overdo it, and like you said, be delightful about it.
Well, also, the future of this is where machine learning is going to come in, and that's going to do two things when it gets really smart. First of all, let's think, so you're on a page, it will test automatically exit intent, scroll intent, timed, clicked, all of these things for you and say, on this page, this performs best. But then even smarter, hopefully, it will tie back into like a cohort analysis and go, but these people didn't stick around, to Rand's point, or these became high lifetime value, and when you can connect those things, like this interaction model actually helped get better quality customers, that's when it's going to get really smart, really intelligent, and it will start to undo some of the harm that's being done, because it'll be more intelligent. Is
there any software like that?
Not really. I mean, it's coming. I mean, Bounce Exchange, I think Pep was telling me, have some pretty...
Yeah, Bounce Exchange has gotten really, really smart. It's just the under the hood stuff is impressive there. It's the top of the line. It doesn't do the kind of looking at the cohorts back, in the back end type of stuff yet, but I mean, might be coming. I don't know.
Guys, I'm gonna have to cut you off in my authoritative way to move on to another question. So. Appreciate all the great information around that. We're going to go all the way back over to Australia, to Larry. I think one of the things people were really interested in was when it comes to, so Pam mentioned earlier on about sources of traffic being very important. In particular, paid sometimes converts less than a lot of the other sources like organic direct. What are some of the key CRO lessons you've learned specifically when it's come to like PPC or social advertising?
Sure. Well, first of all, I don't know about that statistic, because my paid channels are by far our highest converting channels for my own business. So maybe we should have a talk with whoever's running your paid marketing acquisition channels. But I'll let that go. There's a ton of there's a ton of lessons for CRO that you can get from PPC. So I'll just give you a couple crazy examples. So generally, one of the most important key metrics that a CRO should be thinking about in terms of PPC is click-through rate. All right. So click-through rate is ridiculously important because what we find when I analyze billions of dollars of ad spend, what I find is that if you can raise the click-through rate of your ads, that'll if you double your click-through rate, that'll double your conversion rate. So not only that, you'll get more clicks because you've doubled the number of people going through. So like a 4 times increase. So what the heck is happening here? Generally, if you can get people really, really excited about kind of whatever it is you're offering, that excitement generally will carry through to a purchase or lead flow downstream. So click-through rate I think is also really important because in some ways it's even more important than conversion rates because conversion rates are biased. Conversion rates is only telling you in your offer, it's telling you how interesting that offer is to the people who've kind of self-selected into wanting to learn more about that offer. They've actually clicked through there. You could be in a situation where, if you have a very, very low click-through rate, but a very high conversion rate, that could tell you that, Well, we've got a really niche market, basically. We've got kind of a really appealing offer that appeals to like a very, very small amount of the total population of people who could potentially buy this thing, right? You see what I'm saying? So like, you know, I think PPC, in terms of click-through rates, can give you a ton of perspective in terms of like, you know, not just sampling how good your offer is amongst the people who are interested in your offer, but also the people who you know, like how appealing it is globally speaking, and if it's really not doing well from a click-through rate perspective, that should be you know, maybe a clue to maybe consider diversifying your offers or changing it up a little bit. Another crazy thing about PPC is that, or advertising in general, is that brand awareness plays a massive role in biasing people and thus impacting conversion rates in a huge way. Like I'm talking like 3, 4, 5 times. Like it's, I mean, you can prove this to yourself, guys. Just go to your analytics, look at like your conversion data, and look to see like what's the difference between like people who convert that are repeat visitors versus new visitors, right? People who are familiar with your brand or versus people who are not previously familiar with your brand, and you'll find that the conversion rates are ridiculously higher. You know, typically 2, 3, 4, 5 times higher for the repeat visitors, and so just basically what advertising allows you to do is to go after those people and familiarize themselves with your brand, so that when they do search for things that are related to the products and services you're selling, they'll be biased. They'll want to go with what they know, and this plays a huge role in conversion rate optimization. And of course, it would be crazy to not mention remarketing. I think remarketing is a massive CRO hack. It's still a paid thing, but you know, it's changing that one opportunity to kind of get the sale into like potentially, you know, dozens of opportunities to get people to remember what it is you do, and also convert at a later time. You know, people are just busy. Like they don't, you know, they don't might have just had to juggle some other task and didn't finish that thing that you were hoping for them to do. And I think remarketing is such a game changer in that you can kind of just have a second or third or fourth chance at a conversion.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for that, Larry. I'm going to just quickly jump onto another question because I've been a terrible timekeeper.
I know we're short on time, but I just wanted to mention one quick thing on that. What Larry mentioned and what Pam had mentioned about paid versus organic traffic sources. So Larry, I agree with you that our paid traffic sources at Moz also convert better as a whole than our organic ones. But when it's one-on-one, when it's exactly the same, so for example, our paid Twitter campaigns, two landing pages that try and convert people to a product, don't work as well as our organic tweets to those same ones. Our Facebook ads to a product landing page don't work as well as a Facebook organic post to the same thing. And the same is true in organic versus paid SEO versus PPC. So someone searches for, you know, keyword research SEO tool. We have an ad for it. We also have an organic. The organic tends to convert, I think, only slightly, but a little bit better than the paid traffic does. So paid as a whole, for sure, but one-to-one organic.
I just think you need to be more picky then. Like, who says you have to remarket to everyone who's visiting your site? You know, why not apply some demographic filters and only remarket to like the people who like have purchased business software in the last 60 days or something like this? You see what I'm saying? Like, I certainly don't want to be in a situation where, you know, you're paying money for stuff that's not doing, you know, better than your organic stuff. It should be many times better, and you know, that's just like a targeting issue, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I should look at it.
When we go over to Pep, I think this is a pretty good question. Is there such a thing as like over testing and over optimizing? Can you just go a little bit too far?
Meaning that your conversion rate is like 100% and everybody buys. Don't want that. No, like there is no thing as over optimization. Okay. What you can, or over testing. What you can do, what is a problematic issue, if you don't know how to run tests. So if you stop tests too early, or if you have lots of tests running at the same time that are interacting with each other, meaning biasing the results, that can happen. So it's not about over testing. I mean, every single day without a test running is a day wasted. So you need to be testing all the time, provided that you have the traffic, because a lot of small businesses shouldn't be testing at all. Like, I mean, broadly speaking, if you have, you know, if you have less than 500 transactions a month, you shouldn't be testing at all. If you have less than 1,000, or maybe you can do one test a month, so to speak. So over testing, if you end tests early, is possible. But if you do it right, if you know what you're doing, if you know how to run tests, there is no such thing as over testing or over optimizing. I mean, as Larry was saying, I mean the peak of how far we can get. I mean, it's the mountain is very tall. You know, we should be continuing to climb.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The you want to turn your donkeys into unicorns. You don't want to turn your unicorns into donkeys. You know, it's like it's kind of like when you get to something that's pretty good. You know, then. You know, not every test is going to go your way, and so like
Sure.
the worse you start off with, kind of like the higher the likelihood for success, and the converse is that the higher you start off, the higher the probability for failure. And so there's, you know, like I can draw a little curve where there's kind of like this optimal point where, you know, it's like it's pretty good. Let's not turn our unicorns into donkeys.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about opportunity cost, that instead of optimization could be doing something else, then yes. If it's a, you know, lack of human resource or whatever, it can happen. But then again, we have a highly optimized site. I mean, if we have a 1% win, it's Booking.com gets a 1% win. Oh, that's so small, 1%. But oh, actually, it's another $100 million. You know.
Okay, cool. So we're kind of going to switch gears a little bit towards blogs. So a lot of people who are on this are trying to figure out how to get some sort of conversion playbook for the blog or get something tangible back from their blog. One of the questions they really wanted to know was, for you, Pam, because you've probably run every experiment there is possible on a blog, is someone had a question on how many CTAs should be on a blog post or landing page. I guess what they're trying to get to is, like, what is the right way to try to convert someone through a blog post?
So I don't know that there's like a specific number. I actually, in all the testing that I've done, one of the things that has really stood out to me is there's a definite correlation between you know, conversion rate and the placement of the CTA. So I'll just give you an example. So we have, on our marketing blog, we have really long blog posts. Some of them are 3,000 words long. And so we found essentially that, you know, all we had was that end of post call to action, like the banner CTA at the bottom of the post. When we ran some heat maps and scroll maps on our blog, we realized people weren't even making it to the bottom of the post. They weren't even like hitting the CTA where we were banking on them to convert. And when we started introducing CTAs higher up in the post, actually I call them anchor text CTAs. Basically, within the first few paragraphs, you know, download this ebook or this template to learn how to write a press release, or this press release template. We basically doubled our conversion rate from our blog by doing that. What's interesting is a lot of the work that I've done in the blog has been historically optimizing our old posts that continue to get a lot of traffic, mainly from search, but don't convert very well. And as I started doing that, I just naturally started to add these, you know, anchor text CTAs near the top of the post. And what my method was basing it off of the search terms that people were using to get to the post. So in that press release example, we have this blog post, how to write a press release. It ranks really highly for some really high volume keywords around how to write a press release and press release template. And when I went in and conversion optimized that post using those keywords, I added in that anchor text CTA near the top, and it essentially doubled the conversion rate. When we applied this across a ton of our historical blog posts, basically matching the keyword that they were using to find the blog post in search with the, you know, using that same term in the CTA for the offer that was very relevant to that blog post. That's when our conversion rate kind of hit through the roof. And I think it was a combination of the relevancy of the keywords that we were targeting and the posts, but also the placement. Because, you know, originally I thought that it had just had to do with the keywords, and then I ran a study that basically looked at the breakdown of where our leads were coming from on the post level, like which CTAs were actually generating all the leads, and they were like, on average, like the end of post call to action only generated like 6% of the total leads, of those posts, they were all being generated from those calls to action near the top. So I mean, I think the takeaway here is that there's a ton of different CTAs that you can use on your blog. You know, we try to balance it out. So if it's a really long post, like we'll have that CTA at the beginning, we'll have the end of post CTA. You know, not overdoing it, but I think it's related to how long the post is as well, because you want to give them opportunities as they're reading through to convert if they're ready for it.
Yeah, we did exactly the same thing recently. We always have little text links to relevant stuff, but we had banners at the bottom saying pathetic performance. We moved them up, redesigned them slightly, and made them super relevant to that paragraph. We actually have it so when you scroll down to it, it will kind of light up. It's like a panel as you move over it. It goes, hey, how about me? And it converts so well. But you know, when you think about how many CTAs, it's different from a blog post and a landing page. Landing page 1, that's obvious. Although if you need, you can have a safety net CTA, so maybe that's on exit intent, but ideally, after the conversion on the confirmation page, you can get that other thing maybe you're dying to get. But on content, what we've found, because if you look at your top 20 organic content pages, I bet half of them have outdated content, half of them don't have an actual CTA. They're not actually asking for anything. We did this. If you type, what is a landing page? We own that, right? We're #1 in Google. We have had it for 7 years, and it's a 7-year-old piece of content with lots of internal links to other places. And Rand can speak to this much better than I can about, like, say, for a legacy page like this, so what we did first. So we took out, or we analyzed Google Analytics. We know our best conversion path. People have to hit the landing page templates page. That if they hit that, they're much more likely to convert. So on this page, we stripped out every internal link in the content. We took out the side nav, and we just added a CTA to say, hey, check out our templates. 171% increase in people going where we wanted them to go, right? But then, so my question, I guess, for Rand is, like, what do you think about this page that's existed for a long time and it has a lot of connections into the site? If you remove those content links, I don't know what the impact of that might be. I mean, the result was amazing for us, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, typically, I mean, on a site your size with the number of links and domains that are pointing to you and the quantity of content, that one change, even to a powerful page on the site, is not going to have a massive impact. It could affect that single page or maybe a couple other pages it was linking to, but I would worry far less about that and far more about the conversion rate in general. So I think that 171%, you know, if you moved from ranking 3 or 4 for a few of those internal pages that you were pointing to 5 or 6, I don't think I'd sweat that in your shoes, right? And you're probably not going to see much more movement than that, given how powerful the unbound site is.
Yeah, and it was interesting because, you know, we took away the links. It went up maybe 20%. We took away the sidebar. We added the CTA, it went to 150%. Then we took away the side nav, and went to 171. So each one of those little things made an incremental difference, and it was great. On a landing page, this is very different. You know, you should have a single CTA. Like I said before, focus on your copywriting. I think the 3 most important skills for a modern marketer are writing, coding, and public speaking. If you can do those 3 things really well, you know, marketers need to get more technical now. It's just like any bottleneck in business. If you have to rely on someone else, then you're going to be slowed down. I think this is why growth hacking became popular, because it gave people an identity. Technical marketers, I prefer that term, didn't have an identity. They were looked down upon by the dev community because, oh, you're a marketer. What do you know about dev? A lot of people are technical, and they can. I was a coder first, so I can build things without anyone's help, sloppily, and I wouldn't want someone to look at my code, but I'm kind of free to do those things. And also, what you're asking for on your pages is important. There's a thing I call conversion hierarchy, which is the conversion journey from first touch to an activated high lifetime value customer. And there are jumps in this, and if you ask for too big of a jump, people won't convert. You have to do smaller jumps. But there are exceptions. There are accelerants you can use. Video is a great accelerant, because if someone watches your video, you can push them up here way quicker, and that's how you kind of do some of those things, especially, like, say, a workshop that shows your product or something. they're great accelerants. But you have to, if you think about your conversion hierarchy, you can start planning how you can move people along it.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to try to get 2 more questions in before we have to wrap up. So we're going to go across to Rand. Semi-conversion, but a lot of focus on SEO. This question is, should we be more skeptical about on-page SEO factors?
Should we be more...
Yes. I pronounced that word horribly.
Skeptical?
Yeah.
No, we should not be more skeptical about on-page SEO. We should just move over to the right forms of on-page SEO. I think one of the wonderful confluences of SEO and CRO is the fact that today a high engagement rate, a low bounce rate, and a high browse rate are strongly correlated, and in my opinion actually have a causal relationship with high rankings in Google. I think Google is looking at engagement, and they are looking at how traffic performs on a website, and they are looking at bounce rate and what they call pogo sticking, where you bounce back to the SERP and you click on someone else's result. And for that reason, we need to do an extraordinarily good job of converting our visitors into people who stay, people who engage with the site, and people who find their answer on our page. If we don't do that, we're going to lose in rankings as well. And so part of on-page SEO, a huge part of on-page SEO, is satisfying the searcher. That is basically a conversion rate optimization activity, just a different form of it.
Amen.
Go ahead, Art.
Oh, I was just expressing my support of what Rand just said.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's go quickly to Pep. I think we may have time for 2 more questions, actually. So let's go quickly to Pep. I think people ask this all the time when they're trying to get started with CRO, is how long should they run a test for?
How long should they run a test for? The 3 factors that you should take into consideration before deciding when to stop a test. First of all, you need to calculate the sample size ahead of time before you launch a test. So sample size is how many people need to be part of the experiment before we can trust the results. And you can just Google sample size calculator. Optimizely has one, VWO has one. There are many independent ones. And so you put in your existing baseline conversion rate for the specific page that you're running the test on. So for the, if it's your checkout page, the conversion rate for that page might be like 90%. So you put in that. The minimum uplift you want to be able to detect, maybe it's 5%, 10%, whatever. And it will tell you how many people you need per variation. So that's one. So you should not stop the test before you have at least that many people in a variation. 2 is you need time representation, test duration. So, if you're Amazon or Booking.com, you can get 100,000 people per variation in like 5 minutes. So is your test done now? No, because now you're taking a convenient sample, not a representative sample of people. So you need at minimum 7 days worth of traffic, because your people on Monday behave different from people that come to your site on a Friday, and maybe that 1 week is an outlier too. So it's better to test for at least 2 weeks, and maybe even 4 weeks. So 2 to 4 weeks duration. And once those 2 criteria have been met, only then you look at your statistical significance, or if you use Bayesian statistics, the probability of B being better than A.
Pep, would you ever cut off a test early because the results just look too damn good?
Too damn good? No, never. But if the results look terrible, then yes, I don't hesitate to kill it early. But if it's too good to be true, oh my God, then it's like, I've seen it too many times when a huge winner after 1 week is no difference after 4 weeks. So
really?
Yeah.
Every single A/B test pretty much will do this at the beginning. It'll spike. There'll be a big difference because the sample size is so small. There's a high variance, and they all flatline. And then you may see them change. But until you've gone through that experience and trusted it several times, and you see that kind of behavior, you don't kind of believe it's true.
Be skeptical of too good to be true results, because they probably are.
It happens all the time. Like 90% of the time for my tests, like the winner becomes the loser or whatever.
Well, I have a landing page right now that's converting about 1 out of every 12,000 visits. I'm serious. I'm totally serious. And I'm kind of hoping I have a new landing page. It's been in the queue to be built at Moz for the last 4 weeks. I think it'll be another 2 or 4 weeks before it gets launched. But then I'm wondering, if it starts winning within a day or two, can I just be like, okay, see, there we go. That was what was missing.
2 out of 12,000.
2 out of
it would be hard to go down from there, Rand.
It really would. It is the shittiest landing page I have ever created.
Oh yeah.
Donkey by definition, yeah.
No, donkey. It's a much lower form of life. It's like a tardigrade.
Donkey shit.
Okay, we're going to end with this final question. So I'll throw this out to you, Rand, but please, anyone pitch in. Because it's an interesting question. I'm not sure this person has the clearest understanding of SCRO. Maybe they do after all this. Is what line do you draw between CRO and grey hat marketing? And is there a line?
Yeah, I certainly believe that there is. I think that CRO can be viewed in 2 ways. It can be viewed as a long-term exercise in building high-value, high-quality customers who love your brand and want to amplify and share it and are proud to be customers, or it can be used to get a lot of money quickly from people who are then very upset with you in the future. And there are numerous ways that this can be done, but I would urge folks who are interested in this topic to check out a great article recently on dark patterns. Let me see if I can, dark patterns in UI. And yeah, so this is, let's see, there's a good one from The Verge from a couple of years ago called Dark Patterns Inside the Interfaces Designed to Trick You.
Yeah.
There's another one more recently, from the New York Times called When Websites Won't Take No for an Answer. And they talk about these exploitative techniques as well. I think that you have to decide for yourself what you're trying to build. If you are an information products affiliate marketer and all you're trying to do is maximize your one-day revenue, you're probably going to go down that dark pattern path and not care about it. But if you're a brand trying to build long-term customer happiness and success, you should be very cautious about the degree to which you increase conversion rate on a particular page or a particular effort, but cost yourself brand trust and happiness. And you can see this in the sales world as well, right? I know plenty of SaaS companies whose salespeople are effective, but so aggressive that despite their relatively high conversion rates, they've turned 8 out of 10 of the people that they talk to into permanent detractors for their company.
Yeah, travel companies are sometimes terrible at that. There's lots of dark pattern stuff going on there where people are opted in by default to insurance for their, and things like that, which is terrible. Like, most people don't need travel insurance. Have it somewhere else, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So we have hit the 60-minute mark. We missed, I would take full responsibility of this. I think we missed 3 questions. I'm not a good timekeeper, even in my own personal life, so...
we forgive you because, your Irish accent, Kieran, you could say and do anything. Read us the phone book.
It's the charm of the Irish.
Just don't start with L, because you hit liar pretty quickly.
Literally do potato.
We have an inbound.org thread that I tried to draw here, but now I forgot that it's going to be backwards, so it's bit.ly.
That reads okay.
bit.ly/CRO thread over on inbound.org. So you can go get involved in the discussion. Hopefully some of our speakers will be kind enough to go there and answer some questions. As a reminder, we're going to email the recording out to everyone, so you'll have all of this information. I want to just quickly say thank you very much to Pam, Larry, Ollie, Pep, and Rand for joining us across the globe. This has been a great 60 minutes of a ton of interesting information. I've learned a lot. I hope you guys have learned a lot. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, we're going to stop broadcasting now. I haven't done this before, so hopefully we'll go offline.